All right, so moving on to the final segment, we're still going to talk about NFL, but we're going to switch things over from the college side of football over to the NFL side of things. Moving on to this final segment, I'll be playing my NFL offseason game. So how this NFL offseason game will go, I'll be sharing what teams should blow it up and which teams, what I mean by blow it up is they keep their roster but blow up some things that need to be addressed this NFL offseason, some players that need to go, and what teams should make one big trade to help them win Super Bowl 58 next NFL season. So moving into the blow it up part of the game. It's going to hurt a lot of fans out there watching and listening, but the Baltimore Ravens need to go ahead and blow it up. Why would the Baltimore Ravens blow it up? Well, let me explain to you this. The relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens is getting worse and worse by the day. We don't hear any reports that the two respective sides are meeting for a contract extension. We don't hear anything. Lamar Jackson was supposed to have his perspective and the idea of hiring the new offensive coordinator. Well, they hired the guy from Georgia, and they told NFL offensive coordinators looking to fit the bill, looking for the job for the Baltimore Ravens, that Lamar Jackson's is 50-50, that he will be our franchise quarterback or he will not be our franchise quarterback heading into week 1 of next year's NFL season, which I believe that scared a lot of offensive guys, that therefore they hired the former offensive coordinator for Georgia in that system. However, to me, the Baltimore Ravens have not shown to me that they truly trust Lamar Jackson enough to give him a big-time contract. The contract that he wants. He's seeking that Deshaun Watson money, guaranteed money. Well, the Baltimore Ravens, to me, have not shown that they trust him enough to give him something even close to that contract just yet. And if you don't believe me, they re-signed their linebacker that they just traded for in Roquan Smith to an extension before they extended their franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So to me, when they did that, that's a red flag. But listen, this is my scenario for blow it up and go ahead and trade Lamar Jackson. You can trade Lamar Jackson away right now, franchise tag him, and trade him away right now this NFL offseason while you can and while he's worth a lot of draft picks. But a lot of you guys watch and listen might ask, can't you just franchise tag Lamar Jackson? Let me tell you why that's going to be a mistake if you guys franchise tag if the Baltimore Ravens franchise tag Lamar Jackson. You can do that and possibly give Lamar Jackson $45 million per year next year. Let's say Lamar Jackson goes out there and you franchise tag him, giving him for 1 year $45 million guaranteed. Lamar Jackson for the last 2 seasons has not shown that he is able to sustain a whole entire 18-game season. He's been missing in action for the last 2 years in the month of December. Missing out on the Baltimore Ravens 2021 December and costing them a playoff spot when they were 8-3. You look at this year when the Baltimore Ravens still made the playoffs despite the fact Lamar wasn't there. They won 1 game with Tyler Huntley, and that was to the Atlanta Falcons. And that was to the Atlanta Falcons. And he lost in the wild card game to Cincinnati Bengals. Have it if Lamar Jackson played that game, they could have potentially won that game, and we don't know what could happen in the playoffs. But say if you franchise tag him and he does not play for a 3rd straight year in the month of December, you have only one more chance to franchise tag him because you're not going to re-sign him to a big contract if you see he's not sustainable to last in the second half. He's not durable to last come playoff time. So I don't believe that Lamar Jackson is going to step on the field if he is franchise tagged, unless he gets that big contract. I don't think he's stepping out on the field until that deal is done. And if it gets too long, Lamar Jackson, I'm sticking with my prediction. He's going to request a trade. And if you give Lamar Jackson, it's to the point where the Ravens prolonged this so much to the point where if you give Lamar Jackson when he wants a contract similar to what Deshaun Watson makes, it handicaps of the Ravens getting any help from Lamar Jackson, which they should have done since his MVP year. It just handicaps them because what money is there left to go around and get a wide receiver? You're just gonna keep drafting receivers. How much is that help for the Baltimore Ravens? Drafting Rashad Bateman, drafting Hollywood Brown, drafting receivers is always not the answer. You're gonna have to trade out to get somebody, and they failed to get free agency help for him at the receiver position for the last few years. So, if you trade Lamar Jackson right now, you get 2 future first-round picks. You get a couple players in exchange for Lamar Jackson. And then you find your franchise quarterback maybe in the draft, maybe in free agency. But go ahead and trade away Lamar Jackson. It's just the best move for the Baltimore Ravens moving forward. Moving on, blow it up. Tennessee Titans, blow it up. I believe the championship window has officially closed. When you look at the 2020 season, they had a Cinderella run, beating Tom Brady in the playoffs and the wild card in Foxborough, in Boston, Massachusetts, and New England. Then, as a 16, knocking off the Baltimore Ravens, who were the number 1 seed, and then losing the AFC Championship to the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, next year, at the 2021 wild card game, you lose to the Baltimore Ravens. Then, in the 2022 season, you had the number 1 seed in the AFC and could not put away Joe Burrow, a guy that you sacked 9 times in that game, and Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions, and that costed you the game, and that costed you a chance to win the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl was going, the AFC was going through Nashville, Tennessee, in order to get to the Super Bowl. Then this year, you missed the playoffs this year, after starting off 7-3 and losing your final 7 straight games, and for that reason, that cost you the AFC South in the final game, the final week of the season. They're no longer the best team in the AFC South. If you trade or release Ryan Tannehill this NFL offseason, it saves the team $18 million in cap space. If Bud Dupree, Robert Woods, Taylor Lewin, and Zach Cunningham are not on the roster, that would free them up for $53 million in cap space. And let's just face it, if Ryan Tannehill's not there and all those guys I just mentioned are not there, Derek Carr is not going to want to stay there. He's going to be wanting to play for a contending team because his prime years are not going to last much longer. A team could get a lot of draft picks for Derrick Henry. He's the best running back when healthy in the NFL. You get a lot of draft picks for him. You're not going to get a first rounder, but you get a lot of seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths. Get what you can for Derrick Henry and just go ahead and blow this team up. This current roster is not good enough to win a Super Bowl, and they proved it with Ryan Tannehill being the starting quarterback over the last few years on all those separate occasions I just named. Go ahead and blow this roster up and build around the young players that you have and start the rebuild. Blow it up. Green Bay Packers. It's time. It's time to trade away Aaron Rodgers. He's the best quarterback in franchise history. I'll take him over Brett Favre for being the best quarterback in Green Bay Packers history. However, it's time. This soap opera needs to end. This divorce needs to be finalized. Aaron Rodgers coming out every single offseason saying he's not happy with the front office. He wants out. He's not attending offseason programming. He's not there for when it matters most for building team chemistry with the wide receivers in the NFL offseason. He watched his guy Davante Adams walk out after he signed his massive contract, knowing the fact that Davante Adams would not be alongside of him this NFL offseason, and that cost him a playoff spot by not having a true number 1 receiver throughout the year. Go ahead and end the soap opera with Green Bay and trade away Aaron Rodgers. For the love of God, he is on a darkness retreat right now. A darkness retreat, trying to figure things out. If that, with no phone service, no Wi-Fi service, no Wi-Fi connection, I should say, 4 days locked away in the dark. If that should tell you what Aaron Rodgers is trying to figure out, go ahead and trade this man. Go ahead and do it. You can get a lot of draft picks for Aaron Rodgers. You can start building up the guy that you drafted late in the first round, the 2020 draft, in Jordan Love, who you actually traded up in the first round to get him in that respective draft. Go ahead and just go with it, ride it out, see what you got with him as your franchise quarterback for next season. You can you can at least get several first round picks for Aaron Rodgers, at least 2 first round picks that you could have for this NFL draft. This roster is not terrible either. They don't have any holes really. Tight end, go ahead and get a tight end, another key defensive player. This team can contend and compete as long as Jordan Love can step up and be the guy for him. But go ahead and trade Aaron Rodgers, just blow it up and start over with Jordan Love. Now moving on to the game of teams that should make a big trade to win a Super Bowl. If they want to have a chance to win Super Bowl 58 next year in Vegas, go ahead and make a big trade. These are the following teams that I do believe need to make a big trade in order for something to happen for their Super Bowl chances next year. Starting off with the Buffalo Bills. Their championship window is slowly closing as we speak. in the AFC. On 3 separate occasions over the last 3 years, this team has not gotten it done, despite the fact of Josh Allen being the favorite to win the MVP last year. Despite the fact of this team being favored to win the Super Bowl and being the AFC favorites, they have not gotten it done, point blank, period. You look at the 2020 AFC Championship, they were dethroned by the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at the 2021 circumstances. It is what it is. The overtime rules, how they were once upon a time. They didn't get it done. This year, losing at home in the divisional round to the Cincinnati Bengals did not get it done. This team's championship window is slowly closing. You even having your star franchise wide receiver Stephon Diggs express his frustration because the team cannot achieve the things that they set out to achieve, and that's winning a Super Bowl, or at least playing in a Super Bowl game. They have failed to do that over the last 3 years with a loaded roster. And the AFC is just getting better with teams like Kansas City Chiefs. They just won the Super Bowl, and they're not going anywhere. The Cincinnati Bengals aren't going anywhere with Joe Burrow. The Jacksonville Jaguars have arrived with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. They're going to be a threat for a while. The Los Angeles Chargers aren't going anywhere, and Justin Herbert's going to be right back in the playoff mix. Hopefully don't blow a 27-0 lead next year in the playoffs. Those teams are going to be contenders. You need to make a big splash to separate yourself from those big top teams in the AFC. I mean, they need offensive line help. The offensive line was ranked 23rd in the league last season. Defense might need some attention as well. Tremaine Edwards and Jordan Poyer, 2 key guys in the defense, are set to be free agents this spring in free agency. They need some defensive pass rush. When Von Miller got hurt for the second half of the season, they were a team that faded away from getting pressure, getting sacks. They were the reason why the Cincinnati Bengals sent them home, because they could not get pressure or create sacks against a depleted Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. Was missing 3 offensive starters on the offensive line. Now, whether that's defense, offense, I don't know. The Bills need to make a splash quick, fast, in a hurry. Their championship window is closing. Moving on to the New York Jets. Derek Carr sounds nice to sign as a free agent right now. But if you want to be a top dog in the AFC, go ahead and trade for Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson this NFL offseason. If Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson is on the New York Jets roster come week 1 of next NFL season, it could make them a legit contending team, one of the scariest teams in the AFC. The team is young with talent. They have Garrett Wilson at the wide receiver position. Breece Hall coming back from his torn ACL at the running back position. They have Sauce Gardner, who could be one of the best cornerbacks for years and years to come in the NFL. They have Elijah Mitchell at the wide receiver position as well. Go ahead and trade for your franchise quarterback and get Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson. You could be a threat in the AFC and definitely win the AFC East if you have one of those guys. And that, last but not least, the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's talk about it. This team's championship window is closing. It's almost sealed shut at this point. The Jones family needs to take a page out of the front office of what the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing to acquire some talent to help them go on a deep playoff run, NFC Championship, or get to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. At them picks. Championship window is closing. You have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, your foundation of young players. You won in drafts, drafting these guys for the last few years. Go out and execute what these top franchises have been doing. F them picks. You already have all your young talent that you got through the draft. That scheme, that system is not going to last much. It's not going to work. You're seeing what the San Francisco 49ers gave up to get C.J. McCaffrey. You see the moves that the Los Angeles Rams did to get Von Miller and Odell Beckham to bring them to the Los Angeles Rams. And these players, they need veteran guys to learn off of in order for them to get to the next level, to the Super Bowl. Trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Trade for T. Higgins. Trade for Brandon Cooks. Trade for Mike Evans at the wide receiver position, because CeeDee Lamb needs some help to make some plays and create separation out there. Dak Prescott needs some more offensive weapons at the wide receiver position. Michael Gallup did not look the same come back from his torn ACL. T.Y. Hilton is not going to be somebody you can lean on to go on a deep playoff run as a veteran wide receiver. Go ahead and trade for a wide receiver. You need it. See what the Rams want to offer for Jalen Ramsey at the cornerback position. He could be available for a trade this NFL offseason. Pair him up with Trayvon Diggs. Dallas Cowboys have the most talent on the NFC side of things. Make yourself relevant and make yourself stand out from the NFC side of things. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Tom Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.